Thank you very much for being early. Thank you very much to the speakers of today's talk. And let me introduce you a little bit about the speakers. We have a very interesting talk about quantum cryptography. And this is a collaboration with a very good researcher that was at Senam, working sometime at Senam, and now he's working for one university in Mexico. That will be the first one. Luis Lizama, thank you for being here. Our second speaker will be Diego Copa. He's co-chair of the SIM working group on digital transformation. And our third speaker is Sasha Einstedt. He is a chair of IMECO working group task group of technical committee of digital transformation, and also he's in charge of as he's the leader of digital transformation at Germany at the PTB. Thank you very much for being here. Also, I want to let you know that the schema for this event is that we will have about 20-25 minutes of the speaker of the talk, and then we go through a session of questions and answers. So please, while during the talk, please write your questions in the chat, and at the end of the talk, we will review as far as we can, because we have limited time, we have many questions. We will go through the first questions that we can answer. We will not try to filter any questions, so please participate. Also, at the end, we will invite you to open your webcam and take a picture of a Grupal picture of the whole event. And I think that's it. Let me just give the word to the turn of to Luis Lizama to start with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you listen me?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, okay. Let's start. Good morning to everybody. I'm very pleased to be here today presenting this interesting topic in our day, cryptography and its impact on the future of digital society. Thank you in advance for your time, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. Thanks to Hugo Gasca for the invitation. Well, this is the presentation. We will introduce some preliminaries and some promising technologies of quantum computation as optimization, modeling, sensing. After we will talk about quantum and post-quantum cryptography and its impact on digital society. And we will close giving a sketch about a critical path to define a quantum strategy. I really like this picture that from
I don't see your I don't see your presentation.
See the.
Are you sharing your screen?
Okay, let me see. Here, you can see the picture.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let's start again. Sharing the screen. Can you see that?
Yes, now I can see it.
Okay. Well, the picture has been taken from a comic called The Private Eye. It describes a near future. It describes an event called a cloud explosion, a fact that revealed the secrets of the people around the world. As a result, there is no longer the internet. People are jealous about their privacy, reaching the point of appearing in public, as can be seen in the picture, completely masked. Search history, tax information, scientific projects, direct messages, all is accessible to everyone. There is no secrets, there is no privacy. Though it seems fiction, it's possible. It's a possible future for the quantum era. But let's start talking about some preliminaries. The great hope, but also the great threat of quantum computing is that the number of possible states that can be present in the superposition there are 2 to n possible states in the superposition. You should not be surprised by certain statements like whatever superpower gets a quantum computer, it would be like the equivalent of first digital nuclear bomb. Here we show some major computing firms and startups which are investing in quantum computer manufacturing. You can see enterprises like Google, IBM, Intel, D-Wave, etc. A main achievement is Google claims of quantum supremacy. In 2019, Google's quantum computer Sycamore performed a calculation that would take thousands of years with a classical supercomputer. Furthermore, China's leading quantum research group says it's done the same with a different technology and different approach. But let's review some promising quantum technologies. For example, optimization algorithms. Quantum computers could solve routing challenges in real time by using live data from connected vehicles, containers and packages, roads and railways, warehouses, point-of-sale systems, and weather satellites. For example, ExxonMobil is researching how to use quantum computers to optimize routes for the global maritime shipping fleet. Another example is this Beijing real-time traffic plan generated by a quantum computer event in Hanover, Germany in 2017. Data science and mathematical modeling. This is another promising technology, quantum technology, because modern enterprises manipulate enormous amounts of data to identify and understand patterns, make predictions, and solve problems. In financial services, banking and security firms are exploring the application of quantum computing to credit scoring, asset valuation, irregular behavior analysis, and fraud detection trading strategies, investment risk analysis, and machine learning algorithms. Close related is quantum chemistry and material science, because classical computers cannot efficiently complete the calculations required to accurately calculate and tune molecular properties, predict the behavior of materials, or understand how this behavior will vary with the slightest molecular changes. Quantum computers could prove more capable and efficient than their classical counterparts in performing the complex simulations of molecular interaction that are foundational to drug discovery. Another promising technology is quantum. Quantum sensors have the potential to replace existing sensors in many applications, including locating and monitoring oil, gas, and mineral deposits, surveying construction sites, detecting the slightest environmental, seismic, water changes. In the transportation sector, quantum sensors to improve precise navigation and positioning. It is exploring the use of quantum sensors to more accurately measure attributes such as frequency, acceleration, rotation rates, electric and magnetic field, temperature, to improve its navigation systems. But the security of current cryptographic algorithms is based on computational problems whose security has been threatened by the imminent development of quantum computers. Since Peter Shor's conceived a useful quantum algorithm to solve in polynomial time the integer factorization problem running a hypothetical quantum computer. Post-quantum cryptographic systems, which will need to run on classical computers, will rely on more complex mathematical problems that cannot be easily solved by quantum computers and will be operable with current communication protocols and networks. According to the National Institute of Standards and Technology, within about 20 years, sufficiently large quantum computers will be built to break essentially all public key scams currently in use. Therefore, suggests NIST, the time to prepare cybersecurity system for quantum computing is now. We can see in the picture classical scams, cryptographic scam for public key encryption, signatures, key exchange that will be broken by quantum computers since they are based on integer factorization, discrete logarithm. But several new algorithms has been developed that are post-quantum. Here are listed some of them. Symmetric key encryption will be necessary to increase the size of the keys. Hash functions is claimed to be secure in the quantum area. A quantum computer could break the mathematical challenges that underlie these and other protocols in a matter of hours or even seconds. Here we show the evolution of the quantum computers and some schemes that have been broken. Although it seems fiction, documents provided by Edward Snowden show the effort to build a cryptologically useful quantum computer a machine exponentially faster than the classical computers that is part of a millionaire research program titled Penetrating Hard Targets. This work is hosted under classified contracts at a laboratory in College Park, Maryland. Whatever the near future, the most appropriate would be to take some prevention measures. For example, here we list some of them. Audit data and cryptographic assets to provide an accounting of sensitive data, its retention requirements, and location, for example, on site or in the cloud. Identify the types of cryptographic keys being used, their characteristics, their locations in existing computer, and communications hardware, operating systems, application programs, communications protocols, access control mechanisms. This allow to avoid attacks as some kinds of malware as ransomware. Identify potential future infrastructure limitations, for example, bandwidth or latency. Also maintain situational awareness of sensitive data infrastructure. Well, we are talking about prevention measures. And as an example of an algorithm that is post-quantum, Google has released this tool in a Chrome web browser to prevent attacks for quantum computers. Although quantum principles have threatened the security of major cryptographic systems, they have raised a new technology known as quantum key distribution, QKD, that allows remote secret key establishment. This solution is a hardware-based that relies on the principles of quantum mechanics to create theoretically tamper-proof communication networks that can detect interception or man-in-the-middle eavesdropping. The most relevant protocol, the first, the VV84, it used polarization states to establish a secret key between remote users, Alice and Bob, despite an attacker could be in the middle of the channel. As an example of this technology is the Jainan project, the first quantum communication backbone project, which is based on QKD in China. Moreover, China is the first country to launch a quantum satellite for quantum communications. However, it must be said that the quantum attack has been demonstrated over a commercial QKD equipment. This was on Singapore University. This is so because the quantum channel is assumed to belong to the attacker, who can replace it, for example, as optical fiber. He can use quantum memories or quantum computers to break the QKD security. Well, let us sketch a critical path for a quantum strategy. The first is understand industry impacts, learn about quantum's potential repercussions in your industry. Be aware of important technology developments and pay attention to how others in your field are investing and experimenting with quantum technologies. Second is develop a strategy and bring together existing talent with the appropriate skills and knowledge to develop a quantum strategy. Monitor technology and industry developments to refine the initial strategy. It's important for a plan to address the security implications of quantum computing. As an example of this strategies is Microsoft Quantum Development Kit, which includes Q#, a programming language for creating applications on quantum computers. Another case is India, which seeks Ottawa to allow D-Wave to install some quantum computer complexes in India and develop the quantum architecture to the cloud, as IBM did. What quantum technologies are we doing? Well, as stated before, quantum cryptography is a promising paradigm for secret establishment. Unfortunately, errors that occur during transmission and quantum detection have made QKD difficult to implement globally. Main algorithms as Cascade, we know, or LDPC, cannot distill secret bits beyond a channel error rate beyond 50%. As fact, they hardly reach 15%. However, we have recently developed a new quantum key distribution scheme based on pairs of non-orthogonal states that considerably outperform those schemes. This protocol is being developed at Simvestab Querétaro as part of the first laboratory for quantum technologies. 2 lines of research are being launched in the laboratory: quantum memories and quantum communication, to implement this QKD protocol. Well, here we see some details about the protocol and some graphs about how we implement shifting, reconciliation, and amplification in a unique process. And it just requires a round iteration. No redundancy bits are sent, and there is no limit in the correctable error percentage. The secret key grows quadratically with respect to the number of double matching detection events. Also, we would like to mention a new key exchange protocol we have conceived for the quantum era. The security of our method does not rely on computational problems as integer factorization or discrete logarithm whose difficulty is conjecture. It's based on classical non-commutative matrix algebra defined in a ring. Users perform operations indicated in the exponentiation, applying squaring. The resulting matrix is sent to the other user, who applies the convenient multiplication left and right hand sides to get a shared key as depicted in the figure. The performance of the protocol demonstrates that in order to achieve a good bit security level, the keys are smalls are of 512 bit size, and matrix multiplication is done over a reduced size model. In addition, the protocol supports digital certificates for Internet of Things devices in the quantum area. Remote users, Alice and Bob, may want to establish a new secret key based on they already have. However, if for some reason this key is compromised by an opponent, perfect forward secrecy is a property of key agreement protocols that guarantees that such compromising does not result in stalling the previous used keys. Our protocol exhibits this property, perfect forward secrecy, as indicated in the figure. Well, what are some conclusions? We must understand industry impact to develop strategy, monitor technology developments, and to be ready, improve your crypto agility. Thank you for your attention, and I'm the best.
Thank you very much, Luis, for your talk. We invite you to send your questions so we can ask Luis about an answer. We have about 7 minutes to go with this session of questions and answers. We have a first question, Luis, and this is: what strategy do you suggest us to start preparing to use this technology?
Well, I think it must be a prepared team of personnel with the skills, in this case with cryptography and about some protocols. I think it's important to know the details about this new technology. In Mexico has been approved a law, the fintech law about cryptocurrency. Then it's important to be prepared. I think that this is important. Classical cryptography, well, some cases are still in use. For example, one-way functions as SHA-1, SHA-2. This kind of function can be still using for the quantum era. Others can be taken with size. It must be increased the size of the keys. But others definitely must be replaced with better algorithms that have been evaluated by the NIST for the quantum era. Question: there is to hack a quantum network. Could this be possible to measure you change the state of the system? Well, this is because the attack exploits a vulnerability of quantum sensors, the photodiodes. Then the attacker used brilliant quantum pulses to impose a behavior to the photodetectors. There is no problem with the theory, the quantum physics or the principles of quantum physics, but the behavior of the photo detectors. This is the vulnerability that was used to implement the attack.
We have time for another question. Maybe I don't know if we answered the one from Gabriel Lugo. It says that what would be the priority to implement this technology? We hear about we have a couple of years or maybe more, so we can still use classical cryptography. But what would be the priority? How hard would it be to implement this technology?
Well, I think really is a priority. NIST has been publishing that the next year will be announced the new post-quantum algorithms. The new year, the next year will be announced the new post-quantum algorithms. In this scenario, it's important to be prepared because all the current infrastructure will be adapted to the new cryptographic protocols. Today we must be preparing for these changes. Algorithms as RSA or Diffie-Hellman won't be used more, cannot be used more. Then we must start preparing today.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers. We're about two minutes. Still, we can ask another question. My question, I think it is related, this last question, with a practical use, because as you mentioned, you show the example of a 53,000 number that is already the largest number that was factorized. But in the practical way, we will need quantum computers to do a lot more, right? So what do you think? How long it will take to break those numbers, like the SRI algorithms?
Well, I mentioned that Edward Snowden published about the project in this university in Maryland. We don't know the details about this project because it's a secret project, but we think that the possibility to factorize big numbers has been achieved today.
Already?
We don't know. Yes. We don't know the details, but it's possible that has been factorized big numbers.
Okay, so we are already there. Thank you so much, Luis, for your interesting
thank you to you.
Talk, and thank to all the participants with their interesting questions. Let's move on to the next speaker. This is Diego. Go ahead, Diego.
Hello everyone. I'm gonna share my presentation now.
Yes, please.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So, hello everyone. My name is Diego Copa. I'm the Vice Chair of the SIM Methodology Working Group for TEAM, Methodology for Digital Transformation. And this is my presentation, Methodology for Digital Transformation in SIMS region. So, first I'm going to start a summary of my presentation today. First, I'm going to talk about SIM itself. Then I'm going to review an important paper and 3 strategic workshops that has been conducted in the region in 2019 and 2020. Then I'm going to mention 7 groups, a coordination group, and 6 task forces that came out from this workshop, these workshops I mentioned. And then I'm going to mention achievements and challenges in the SIM working, some achievements and challenges, the SIM Metrology Working Group 14 itself, and the consolidation of the previous groups, task forces, with the follow-up task force and 5 task forces. I'm going to mention the M4DT days, the one we are up today, a workshop conducted by the CIPM that the Metrology Working Group has hosted, and the CMIDB project to support health services. So first, the SIM is the Inter-American System of Metrology for the Spanish Sistema Interamericano de Metrología. SIM is an RMO as Euromet or the APMP. It has 5 sub-regions, and Claire Sandry from NIST is the actual president. It has 31 NMIs members, and its objectives are development of NMIs in the SIM region, and building a strong SIM organization, and fulfill RMO obligations under the CIPM MRI. For more information, you can see the page in the screen, the slide, to more information. So, as I was mentioned, the paper before this is the challenges for the digital transformation for metrology in LAC, in Latin America and the Caribbean. Its author is Alexis Balke from the PTV. Part of this paper is a survey to representative members of the NMIs in the region. A highlighted result is that the 88% of the respondents claims that the laboratories in its NMI is in process of development. You can look here in the first row. So this is a 2018 survey, and don't expect to achieve digital transformation until 2025, as it's mentioned in the paper. This paper is available online, and if you want to read it, I can send you if you want. Then the first strategic workshop was hosted by SIM in 2 countries, and the objectives were to present the experiences from a well-digitalized calibration laboratories. That was Pershman Calibration from Germany, and the other one was to exchange experiences and identify potentials for optimization and digitalization in the laboratories of NMIs. Note that this is the first contacts that people of laboratories has in the context of M4DT. Then to establish a work plan and an implementation team for digitalization in each participating NMI. I didn't mention, but when the workshop was being done in Lima, Peru, and Bogota, Colombia. So the conclusions of this workshop was a need for a digital transformation in the region that was identified from all the NMIs present, all the technicians present, a need for an exchange platform, a web platform to keep touch in each other with the technicians. The DCC was the DCC, or the Digital Calibration Certificate, that Euromet is leading, has been considered a topic of interest among the technicians. Also, a need to design and establish a work plan towards the digital transformation on the region. Are you listening okay? Yes? It's okay? Yeah, nobody's listening. Well, are you listening okay, Hugo?
Yes, we are listening.
Okay, thank you. Well, the second workshop was a one-day workshop in a week. Has important members on the digital transformation in the region. Alexis Balke, as I mentioned, the former president of SIM, Claire Sandry, and Hector Lice. This was September 2019, previous the pandemics. This was conducted by SIM, of course, in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. Then the pandemics took over, and the technical committees, the technical contacts of the SIM region started to work in a platform provided by SENAM. And with the help of the PTV, we organized an organization group was set up towards to lead the third strategic workshop. The strategic workshop online that happened in 14 and 16 of July 2020. The object of this workshop was an awareness of the digital transformation, organize an exchange between NMIs, and accelerate the digital transformation strategy of the NMIs. And so the workshop itself had more than 150 colleagues, and was an online workshop, as I said, and we have 20 videos online already to be seen in the page of SENAM, the digital transformation that you can see in the slide. So the topics considered in this workshop were 5 topics. First of all, automation of laboratory processes, the DCC itself that I said, digital calibration certificates, digital transformation in legal metrology, and the NMI's digital transformation strategy that they have. So, and the 5th, the metrology for industry 4.0. So this was conducted online, as I said, and the conclusions of this workshop was the awareness of the transformation digital in the region, the needs of formal organization to conduct a proper transformation of the SIM region, and a direction and self-diagnosis in digital transformation, not only in the region, but also in the NMIs itself. Good. Well, the outcomes of the workshop were 6 groups to keep working in the highlighted topics. 1 for each topic, and a task force to develop projects, the task force number 6, Agile projects. Each of these task force had several meetings since June 2020 until January 2021. A follow-up group has been addressed as a continuation of the organization team. Yes. Good. So we are to January 2021, and the SIM metrology working group was addressed. The SIM created this metrology working group 14 with the resolution. Then the objective, what was the objective of this metrology working group, was to promote the digital transformation in the region and exchange with similar organizations, and then to link SIM's metrology working groups to digital transformation. We have in the metrology working group 20 countries represented, and the chair is Hugo Gasca, and I am the vice chair. We had 3 meetings up today, and our activities so far were a presentation of the task forces and the path taken until the creation of SIM metrology group 14, and the presentation of the SIM IDB 2021 that I'm going to go there later. So then, what were the decisions, the actions taken from these presentations? The first one was to create a commission to face the CMIDB 2021 on health tasks, on health. Yes. Then create a follow-up and support task force, a consolidation and justification of the task forces on all the working groups, an approval of the continuation of the M4DT days coordinated by the follow-up and support working group, the approval of the 2021 plenaries and events, and take the case presented by task force number 1, laboratory automation of thermobarometer as a pilot project in the SIM region. This is the presentation my task force presented, and it was well taken by the metrology working group. So, now I'm going to talk about the different task forces. First, to start to mention is the task force follow-up and support. This task force general objective is to report to the metrology working group 14 about what the group generates and its relation to the relations with the task forces, and to coordinate and ensure an exchange between task forces in a fluid way, because this workshop, this task force meets once a week, and the metrology working group doesn't. So we have a fluid communication with all the task forces. Then to organize the metrology days and workshops and the conference support. And then the medium term is to propose and support the coordination between the metrology working groups and the task forces of the metrology working group 14. And then to promote interaction with industry, accredited laboratories, and other stakeholders, and many others. Then in the long term is to identify resources for regional projects, promote comprehensive regional integration of cloud metrology among others. So we are continuing. So the task force number 1, I am the leader of this task force, and the objective, the general objective, is to share experiences in automation, find common projects that benefits the INM, the NMI, in terms of automation. The specific objective of this task force is to increase the number of presentations and discuss about the reuse of software, discuss about DCC, and how to help stakeholders. We have an annual plan is to help the development thermobarometer that I mentioned before, and make more presentations as a continuation of what we have been doing, and a final additional project that to be developed in agile principles. Then the task force number 2 is cloud technologies for metrology. The general objective is to share experiences, knowledge towards common projects in the metrology cloud, signature IoT, and market surveillance. Next, task force is the DCC. This task force its objective is to share information about the implementation of the DCC in the SIMS NMIs, and discussions about the DCC, and to make a survey to identify the digitized data infrastructure of the NMIs. And yes, the task force number 4, metrology for Industry 4.0, is to exchange information and to the experiences of the NMIs in metrology for Industry 4.0, to identify lines of work with which we can generate benefits and projects for the SIMS NMIs. The specific objectives were defined to the training activities and share experiences of the NMIs with the industry, and find collaboration project like the triaxial digital accelerometers. We have a presentation in the NIST. This give us a presentation about this, and a calibration of temperature sensor networks, digital twins, among others, and increased collaboration with the industry. So, the task force number 5 is the agile projects. The main objective of these agile projects is to develop projects in conjunction with the National Metrology Institute and the M4DT work groups in an agile way. This is the only the group that has deliverables, very definite deliverables. So specific objectives are to conclude the phase 1 of the metrology cloud and the DCC pilot project that the agile project started in 2020 and it's going to continue in 2021. In the medium-term plans are to start the thermobarometer that the task force number 1 has promoted, has asked to be developed, and the phase number 2 of metrology clouds and the DCC. On long term is to promote agile projects beyond metrology working group 14. About the strategy of the task force, about the strategy of the NMIs in digital transformation, is going to be has been absorbed by the metrology working group. I'm sorry, and we are managing to work this strategy or this approach through a Caburec tool, but this is on the works to be developed. It's not already defined. This. Well, perfect. Metrology for M4DT days. The M4DT days, the optional objectives are the shared experiences in metrology for digital transformation with facilitators from the regions and guests from RMOs, organized by the TF follow-up support, that's for follow-up support, and we have 6 more M4DT days for this year. We have 4 M4DT days. This is the 5th, as Hugo mentioned. And we have Michael Gaitan, Federico Grasso. Today we have Sasha Eistad, and we have many others too. So the metrology working group hosted a CIPM workshop that was conducted by the CIPM. This workshop was the International System of Unit in Fair Digital Data. The online workshop was in 22 and 26 on February 2021. You can see the videos there. They are online to view. The metrology working group hosted 3 days, I think, this year. Good. This was an important workshop for all digital transformation. Digital transformation in all BIPM, CIPM of all RMOs. So we get to the BID M4DT for Health project. I'm going to read the description of this project. This is a metrology for digital transformation to support health services in Latin America and the Caribbean and address measurement challenges associated with pandemics such as COVID-19. The execution period was 2021, 2022. I think it's going to stand to 2023. The project budget was $500,000. And the general objective is to achieve the new digital metrology services with a focus on health area adapted to the conditions of the region and its countries and deployed to address emerging technologies as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. So what are the components of this project? Diagnosis and awareness of metrology and services health, development of regional pilot projects for the implementation of the digitization of calibration and verification services in health matters, and institutional strengthening. The activities in this project were development, or what will be because it's a project to be developed in 2021, 2023. Is development of diagnostic studies, an action plan on metrology digital information for health, 4 awareness workshops developing the SIMS operations, 3 courses of technology associated with the digitization of metrology services, execution of 4 joint R+D+I projects between SIM and NMIs on metrology issues for digital transformation. And the participation of SIM representatives in international forums on metrology and quality infrastructure. I'm going to say something that I missed. Yes, the SIM technical committee has become aware of the importance of this IDV project, and discussions are taking place on how to provide all the necessary information to complete this project I mentioned. That's what I was saying. Excellent. So, continuing, we jump to the conclusions. I think I'm too early. So, the conclusions. The digital transformation of metrology is part of the vision regionally and within each NMI, as well as a worldwide trend, as I mentioned, as the surveys showed. Then, the SIM understands the needs of the NMIs in terms of digital transformation and directs its effort by creating the Metrology Working Group 14 and the IDB M4DT projects for health. The Metrology Working Group 14 understands the complexity of achieving the digitalization of services and generates various complementary efforts, all the task forces I mentioned, to achieve the objectives of the NMIs and the region, as well as the transversal efforts of the topics, M4DT days, workshops, and conferences. The efforts, task forces, M4DT days, and ongoing are sustained with the efforts of all the members of the NMIs, and much more with the awareness of the directors of the institute. With their approval, we work here in the SIM and in all these efforts. It is necessary that the participation of the efforts to be extended to the stakeholders of the NMIs, secondary labs, and industry, and others. The link with industry is a vital part to be a productive and development of the country and the region. Then, the SIM needs to expand these efforts in relation to digital transformation, as well as to include the specific topics that interest the region: cybersecurity, DSI, simulation models, artificial intelligence, and much more that we haven't even started to work yet. That's the conclusions that we must keep working together and keep more topics to this World Metrology Working Group. So this is the contacts and coordinators of the different task forces. Please contact them if you want to be part of one of these. And thank you very much. This was all. I think it was very quick, but well, I think it's okay. Thank you very much. I'll read your questions. Hugo?
We invite you to write your questions. Diego, I think most of the task forces and the digital strategy, the digital transformation working group is focused or should be focused on sharing knowledge and sharing information about digital transformation, how to take advantage of that in the metrology labs within the institutes. So I think I ask you if you have any plan or you have talked to others about a communication program for conducting this. For example, this metrology for digital transformation day, we have a schema to invite some people, but probably I don't know if there's other plans to extend the audience, the participants, to maybe do an open invitation to all the NMIs.
I have been talking to some of people of my NMI to start a DSI task force to improve or to help the DCC task force, but to take another view of the problem, to an extended view, that because the DSI is not only the DCC, it's more of that. We have many other topics or many other topics or technological advances that DSI can take over, like big data. Big data is more important. It's a big important topic on issue, and DSI has much more to deal with. So I think I talked with many other people in my NMI and in other NMI, yes, to start something different, and that's something transversal that is this DSI project.
Thank you, Diego. We have another question.
Yes.
What is the reason for choosing the thermobarometers project for
What is the
automation?
reason of choosing the thermobarometer project of automation? Well, in the metrology working group, I don't know who asked to start working with the magnitude, and they suggest temperature. And the idea of the thermobarometer is a cheap project, or an idea more that it suits the idea of measuring temperature and the measure of the measure of the pressure and relative humidity. It's very easy to achieve. Dealing with that with my idea of this thermobarometer. So the reason is that because it's easy and it's the first we must take over one magnitude at a time, I think, and it's simpler. Yes.
Thank you, Diego. Yes, as Diego and also Gabriel mentioned, if you are interested in participating, please contact the coordinators of the task forces, or you can contact Diego and myself. Any other question? We still have a couple of minutes. Yes, we have Wallman. Which would be the recommendation for those NMIs at SIM that are starting these kind of activities on digital transformation and metrology 3.0? What would be your recommendation, Diego, for those NMIs that are starting these activities?
First, to conduct a group that is starting working with electronics and with software to start not reading, but looking what other NMIs are doing, such as INTI, as Brazil, as Senam. What are they doing? And so maybe reading in between lines what they are, where are their objectives. But not only the PTB. PTB or the NIST is a very advanced NMI. But the first steps, I think we are in the first steps of the digital information, and we are the model to follow. Not only we are maybe seeing the medium are seeing the more advanced, but if we are starting, maybe you must see the medium the NMIs. Yes. And also to participate on all of these task forces.
Yes, I would suggest to join us, as Gabriel and Diego mentioned. I think it's beyond start reading and get information from all around that is available, to share the ideas, to hear what we think or each other thinks. That helps a lot to get an idea of what can be done.
Yes, be part of these groups is I think maybe the first steps to become aware of the digital transformation. If you don't know anything about it, to be part of the copyright tools we are going to conduct with the NMI digital transformation for the NMIs. I think that will be an awareness about these topics. To HNMI that want to learn and see what can be done with these technologies that are available now.
Thank you very much. We still have time for one last question.
No, nobody.
Questions. Okay. Thank you very much, Diego. Let's move on then with the next speaker.
Okay, thank you, Olman. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Diego. Sasha, please share your knowledge.
Yeah, I'll do so. Thank you very much. Let me just see to choose the right screen. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Yes, thank you first of all very much about for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share our knowledge. So that's not only my knowledge, of course, but it's the knowledge that we've created within PTB in the last around about 4 years now, and the knowledge that we created within Euramet and the various projects and working group activities over the last couple of 2.5 to 3 years approximately. And I want to show you some of the lessons learned in terms of topics that you may need to consider, and also give you a first look into potential future developments here and there. So I hope it's not too much, because of course you can imagine the topic of digital transformation is quite huge and broad. So the presentation today will also be very broad topic wise, but I hope that I've put together some elements that are interesting for you at least. When we talk about future developments, it's always a good idea to look back into the past, and here you see it's quite a distinct past, and to see how others have done a look into the future and what that brought in hindsight. And the first one is a very good one. It's from Nikola Tesla from 1926. He said, "When wireless is perfectly applied, the whole Earth will be converted into a huge brain, which in fact it is, all things being particles of a real and rhythmic whole. And the instruments through which we shall be able to do this will be amazingly simple compared with our present telephone. A man will be able to carry one in his vest pocket." And I hope you can see that you all have one of these in your vest pocket, trousers pocket, or wherever, I suppose. So he was right, I'd say. But there are also others that have misinterpreted or where we're not right with their expectations for future developments, like the famous quote from Thomas Watson from 1943, who said, "I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers," where today we know that when we consider IoT with billions of what you may call a computer compared to what they've called a computer in those times around the world, and it's growing rapidly. So it's always difficult to make a good guess for what is needed in the future, and we always need to be to remain very agile and very open and flexible to new developments. In my talk, I will cover these 4 topics. I will start with some insights into what trust and confidence in data and algorithms means for metrology, cyber-physical systems and IoT, digital transformation in the quality infrastructure, and then finally some words on the Euramet digital strategy. So first, trust and confidence in data and algorithms. When you talk about data and algorithms today, most people, of course, immediately think of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. And when you talk to a data scientist, they typically tell you that approximately 80% of their time they are doing data pre-processing. So before they even can think of application of a machine learning message or training of a machine learning message, they have to deal with the data and the issues that they have with the data. So the title of this article from 2018 here is absolutely right. If your data is bad, your machine learning tools are useless. And this holds true in particular also for things like metadata in your data, like the units mentioned or not mentioned or other information. So you may completely misinterpret the data if you have bad metadata. So it's not only the data may be bad, but also the metadata may be bad. And bad data, when it comes to measurements, it's something where we as metrologists know what to do against it. And the second point is the explainability, so possibility to understand, explain, and make transparent how and why a machine learning method has drawn a certain conclusion. So this little comic down here shows what may be an issue in the future, that we are relying on autonomous systems that make a decision or suggest a decision, and we don't know why. So then we don't trust in that algorithm, and that's an issue. And when it comes to AI methods applied to measured data or measuring instruments equipped with AI or machine learning, then we as methodologists need to make sure that we are able to understand what's going on. And to give you a concrete example about that metadata issue is this one here. So speed limit 25. Without metadata, a car equipped with a camera may be able to analyze and interpret the text and know there is a word speed, there is a word limit, and there is a number 25. But without any metadata, it's absolutely not clear what that means. So you may say, well, it's written in English, so maybe the 25 is in miles per hour, but you don't know, so you may have to guess, and that can be really dangerous. So measurement data without units is dangerous. And if you put all this together, you conclude that in order to have trust in data and then to have trust in the algorithms that work with that data, you have to find standardization for metadata and using the usability of the units expressed in that metadata. And this is what was done as part of a European research project, SmartCom, where they've developed a technology flexible way to have a kind of a standardization of a proposed standardization for how units and how metadata with a basic methodology information can be structured. And the first one is on top here. So this is an expression that looks quite unusual to a human, but for a piece of software that's very easy to interpret. You have some prefix like milli, nano, kilo, whatever, and you have the actual SI unit, and then you have the exponent, which altogether then gives you the possibility to explain all the units expressed in the SI brochure. So for a machine, this kind of expression may be very, very well understandable. It may be machine readable, machine understandable, and in that way then also machine actionable. The algorithm, the machine, may be able to do something with it. So the idea behind that is that at least for those units that can be derived from the SI that are part of the SI brochure, why not use at the machine-to-machine communication level the SI units as a kind of a standardized language. Then for the human, what is on top of that, maybe whatever you would like to have. So the traditional or the now existing and familiar ways. So you may even have non-SI expressed units as long as you can derive them using the SI elements. So under the hood, the machine-to-machine communication in SI, but at the human readable element, a part of that element, it doesn't matter that much. And then there are some further recommendations for how to structure the data and what a reasonable data model may be. So what are the information that you definitely need to make use of the measured data? And all this together then comes to what was already mentioned as a DSI, and you can find out more about it on Zenodo or by using your search engine of choice and searching for Zenodo and D/SI. D is -SI. But it's only one part of the story. So when we go back to the interpretation of that road traffic sign that I showed you, you may then be able to understand, okay, it's a 25, and I have the metadata information of the unit that is related to that number. And then you have the text speed limit. But speed limit is again nothing that is machine interpretable without something behind it that helps the machine to understand what's going on. So you need to think about ways to structure the information, to make the information contained in the metadata understandable by machine. For human-to-human communication, we will know we can write dictionaries, glossaries to explain to each other what certain elements, what certain vocabularies mean, and the Vim that we all well know, I hope, is one of that example. It's a glossary, if you like. It's a glossary or dictionary, depending on where you draw the line. But it's for human-to-human communication only. And then you have the human-to-machine communication, like information retrieval in the document management system, something like you search something, for instance, and then you want to be sure that the machine, that the search engine, understands what you're searching for. So it's not only a very stupid look for that exact word in the text search, but also something that uses maybe synonyms or related elements or related words in the vocabulary and so on. So you need other tools for that. And it's even more complicated for machine-to-machine communication. When you consider the human-to-machine communication, again, a search engine, you search for a word, and then the result gives you a search result list, and you as a human select which is the most appropriate, the most relevant search result based on your human understanding. A machine cannot do that. So a machine needs an even more structured way to make to understand what's going on. And here you need things like an ontology from enabling that machine to understand the content in the words that you're using. Second topic, cyber-physical systems in IoT. Now we come to something that is more close to what you actually may work on in metrology. That is, we are now talking about the measuring instruments, not only about the data, some kind of abstract thing. And first we have a look at the measuring instruments and how they develop. I think we all well know these kind of sensors that you may, according to this graphic, call sensor 3.0. It's an electronical sensor. You have electronic compensation. You may have a digital interface in terms of maybe a USB connection or a network connection to retrieve the data from the sensor. So that's something we are quite familiar with already. But then we have the sensor 4.0, or what some call smart sensors. And this, as you may hopefully see in that picture up here, is more like a computer in a box with, yes, there's also a sensing element, but it's only one element of the whole box, and it's not the most important element if you put all together, because maybe even without that computation behind, you cannot make any use of the measured value for this application. One example is is that you may use a digital twin inside of the computational box to derive the compensated or the actual measured value from the sensing element responses. It may also be that you have kind of a self-calibration put in place in this computation unit. So these sensors are becoming very, very complex, and it's very difficult to, it will become very difficult to do a methodological assessment of these elements, because even if the sensing element is behaving very, very linearly, the computation behind or after that, so the data, raw data processing, and then what you see as a result of that, may not be linear at all. And we already saw that a couple of years ago when you looked into pressure sensors with a software-based compensation for certain unwanted effects. And when we put those sensors into a very dynamic measurement environment like a shock tube, we saw very strange results that made no sense from a physics point of view. But when you understood what the software is trying to do, you could understand what's going on, and you saw, well, it's just something that here's a situation that wasn't expected by the programmers. So the software developers. And then you see some strange results, which you cannot explain using metrology. So that will be a challenge for us in the future. And that means we have to make sure that we are in contact with sensor and measuring instrument developers to make sure that they provide us with sufficient information to understand their instruments, at least when they want us to provide a calibration for it. And it's also an issue when it comes to providing traceability to the SI for such kind of measuring instruments. And then what we also see is that these sensors are not used alone, but used more in sensor networks, Internet of Things, IoT, Factory of the Future, and other elements. The story is always the same. You don't have one sensor, you have a whole set of sensors all communicating the data to some kind of processing unit. And then there are these several layers, edge, fog, cloud, whatever you may want to call it. The result is always the same. You have many sensors. You have a network of these sensors. So the measured data is put together. You have sensor fusion. You have new issues and also with the data. And then you have a huge amount of data that you need to do something with. And here we see several challenges for metrology that we've started to work on. Also here in a European research project, Metrology for the Factory of the Future. But we also learned that it's something that will take us many years to really resolve many of the issues. It starts with these sensors, that it's very difficult to get a hand on what's actually going on in some of these because you only see the digital output, and if they have some kind of internal processing, pre-processing, you then only see the pre-processed output, and it's very difficult sometimes to understand what's going on. We have sensors that have strange effects with their internal clock because they may use a quartz crystal that is sensitive to temperature changes, and many more issues that we saw there. And also with that, we see an issue with the use of that sensors because of course you can in principle bring a MEMS sensor to an NMI calibration lab and perform a calibration, but then the calibration costs like 100 times more, if not even more than that, 100 times more at least, I would say, than the actual sensor. So nobody will request a calibration for such a sensor, which means that in the end, we may end up in a situation where there's no traceability for IoT networks. And it's a challenge to deal with that. And then also, you see here the nice image from the title page of the GUM, Guide to the Question of Uncertainty in Measurement, which is in principle applicable to IoT networks and the data processing, but traditionally, the methods that were developed for uncertainty evaluation for actual applications are considering that there's a human that derives the model, that does the data analysis, that does the propagation of uncertainty using software, of course, today, very natural. But these elements, these methods that we have now are typically not fit for purpose when it comes to IoT networks, because the sensor network may change very quickly regarding its configuration. There may be new sensors, the fuse data may change, you may need to react to certain situations very quickly. So it's very complex, and the data sets are very huge. So again, you need some automated ways to do the data analysis, and the human may be only at the very early in the process involved in that. So we need to rethink some of the elements in measurement uncertainty evaluation. And then, as I said earlier, data scientists take like 80% of their time in pre-processing of the data. Well, that requires knowledge about the measuring instrument and the processes. And if we don't have that information, or it's too complicated to do that, then we have a problem. And if the sensor networks are very huge, then again, we, as said in the first part of my talk, we need machine readable information about what is the actual measuring instrument, what was the measuring situation, so that an algorithm can do the pre-processing or can react to certain effects in the data. That means we need semantics and ontologies for automatic machine learning and AI methods. And also, we need to think of data quality in such sensor networks and how to communicate and make use of that information. There may be sensor errors, noise, drift, synchronization issues, and so on, all affects the machine learning outcome. Third, digital transformation in the quality infrastructure. I think you all well know this or similar pictures, the quality infrastructure, its elements and their interconnection. And they're all working towards supporting the society. And society in digital transformation, of course, has new requirements, new requests, like there are new products, complex devices and systems coming to the market. They may contain embedded computing and may contain some smart features. Like, for instance, a couple of months ago, a company from the Americas introduced a finger ring with sensors equipped, and they said that that ring, together with some AI methods that can work on your smartphone, can detect whether you have COVID-19, which is very interesting. But is that something that we can cover in the quality infrastructure? And if so, what does that mean? New services, anything could be a service in the future. Maybe also metrology as a service, kind of an automated service. Cloud platforms, AI-based solutions, all these are things that challenge metrology and the quality infrastructure. And new regulations, like for AI, people are talking about ethics, confidence, trust in the artificial intelligence methods. What is the quality infrastructure's role in all of this, and how can we make the QI, the quality infrastructure, fit for AI methods? And we may need to see a technological enforcement of regulations, and the question is how to do that. This also shows that it's not only metrology that is challenged here, but also the national standards offices and the national accreditation bodies. They are all challenged in the digital transformation to keep up with the increasing pace of industry, to provide new services and concept, to develop machine executable and readable standards and other documents and certificates, and to provide automated digital processes and their integration. So that means that we all have to work together in this. It cannot be only metrology. We need to find a way to interconnect these different activities and elements to form a coherent and consistent and interoperable quality infrastructure to be ready to be fit for the digitized world. And we're trying to do that. We have initiated a couple of months ago the project QI Digital together with the German bodies of the national quality infrastructure, and we are working beyond other things towards an interoperable QI platform as a further development of the metrology cloud, so into a QI cloud with shared databases, digital processes, and so on. So one way to make all these processes and elements in the quality infrastructure interoperable. And that requires that we talk to each other, that we approach each other, that we share knowledge, experience, that we initiate projects together to work on all these various elements, and that we move forward together, closely together. But we also need to do that for our internal processes. And what we saw there is that, of course, you could digitize everything as you have it. Like we looked into our own digital processes or our own processes for our services, to be more concrete. So the way that when we get a service request from a customer, what are the steps that we do? And we started drawing these kind of diagrams that you see here, these flow charts. I will not go into the details, but I could imagine that when you look at these, it looks very complex, and it is. It's too complex for good digitalization. could digitize it, but then you will know a bad process digitized is a bad digital process. So that doesn't help. So we started to work on harmonization of our own processes of working in our services, for our services. And data is at the core of that. So we started talking about the data structure. We started from the end. We started with a digital certificate that will then go to the customer and should provide the machine-readable information required by the customer. And this contains administrative data, this contains methodological data and processual data. So all these information together show what was the process and what were the results provided for the certificate. So we have started a process to create a data structure for that then can be provided as an interoperable basis to form an interoperable working process. And also something that we've learned very early in our own digitalization process is that you need to define guiding principles, elements that can you make use of for a couple of years at least. So some aims for the future. And there it helped us a lot to start with our mission for us defined in federal laws for our mission and interpret these missions in a digitized world. And therefore it starts with our guiding principle to ensure the uniformity of measurements in a digitized world and ensure confidence in data and algorithms. So we reinterpreted our existing mission that we have for over 130 years now and reinterpreted it for a digitized future. And then we also are, of course, as many other NMIs are, a research institute. So we also dedicate ourselves to contribute to the open science development, because we see that open science and data-driven research are very important elements in the digital transformation of science. And we see that methodology should be an anchor of trust in open science and data-driven research. And then we also saw that due to digital transformation, many areas that so far are working in silos are moving together. And the core example of that is the distinguishment between legal methodology and all the rest, to call it this way. This makes no sense in a digitized world because they all are working with data. They have certificates. They should have interoperability. So that's why we have that guiding principle towards a holistic approach for the treatment of measuring instruments and measurement data. And from the PTB strategy, now a few words on the Euromed digital strategy, where we started with a similar approach as we had done for the PTB strategy, and also similar to what Diego Coppa described in his talk. We had several workshops. We started the discussion, the sharing of knowledge and information, and then started to form a strategy for Euromed out of it. And similar to the PTB mission statements, we started with looking into the mission statements of Euromed and reinterpreting them in the digitized world. And we came to these missions for the digital strategy of Euromed, namely to foster the uptake of digital tools, services, and processes amongst its members, to oversee the digital transformation of methodology and industry and connect the individual developments to a harmonized approach, and to engage with external parties in relevant areas to establish methodological principles for data quality. You see that some of these elements are quite similar to what I've shown you from the PTB strategy, and they contain a lot of the learnings that we've taken from the projects I've mentioned earlier in my presentation. And above all, this kind of a grand vision, you may say, and we call it the overall aim, and that is Euromed should take the lead in the digital transformation of the European quality infrastructure. Again, here, that learning, that realization that we need to work together to form an interoperable digital quality infrastructure. And metrology could lead that, and our vision for Euramet is to take the lead for that in the European quality infrastructure. Then, of course, we need to talk about how to make that happen, how to implement that strategy. Similar to the SIM work group, M4DT, we've created a work group in Euramet TCIM, and we consider that work group as kind of a think tank within Euramet and a hub of experts to support the other elements in Euramet. We launch dedicated projects in the technical committee. IM stands for interdisciplinary metrology, and we launch these projects for specific implementations and tasks under the coordination of the work group M4D. So in this, also quite similar to the subgroups of the SIM work group M4DT. Then we are working together with the Euramet technical committees for field-specific expertise and developments, and with the European Metrology Networks, EMNs, for topics driven by a clearly identified and coherent stakeholder community. So we consider the work group M4D and Euramet as a think tank, as a hub of experts, and as a supporter and enabler for the other elements in Euramet. We started last year. We started mid last year. The first half of last year, we dedicated completely to the development of the Euramet digital strategy. And then starting in August last year, we initiated the implementation of that strategy. And this is a brief summary of what we've done in that 1 year. And I think from the sheer numbers, you can see we are quite active. And despite only being a small group, I'm very happy about this very good development and hope that we continue that in the future. Last kind of a concluding remarks. What are the loose ends? What are the future topics, so to say? We need to consider end-to-end digital processes in the future. That means processes that don't require printing something out or don't even require to have a human somewhere where it's not really needed, so that we have machine interpretable data. That requires machine executable certificates and standards, not only readable, but also executable. The machine can do something with it. And you see here, it's not only certificates, but also standards. These two should work together. We need cloud infrastructures in industrial and legal metrology to go forward with these interconnections of the databases and the implementation of digital processes. We need to consider virtual measurements and simulation, something I've not touched in my presentation, but it's clearly a topic for the within the future topics in metrology. Digital sensors in large heterogeneous networks. In IoT and the factor of the future, but also beyond. Smart cities is one example where you see that. The question is, how will measurement of, how will metering change in a smart city? Will you still need a metering of power, gas, water, and so on? Or do you have an intelligent control unit and you're only paying for the level of comfort, and the control unit does the rest for you? We'll see. And of course, the whole topic of machine learning and artificial intelligence will remain a huge challenge for us in the future. Thank you very much, and I'm open for questions. Hugo, I can't hear you, sorry.
Thank you, yes. Thank you to all the questions. Thank you, Sasha, for your excellent presentation. The first question is about if the quality infrastructure platform will be available for legal metrology stakeholders.
Yes, definitely. And in fact, we are starting with legal metrology because we think that at the core of such a platform, we need to have a well-defined and in the ideal case regulated processes between different stakeholders, between an accreditation or conformity assessment, as an instrument supplier body or any other stakeholder. And then you need to have a process that you want to digitize. And as soon as you have that, you can then start with developing and implementing a platform. So we are starting from the Methodology Cloud, and we are extending the Methodology Cloud using the modules to a quality infrastructure cloud.
Thank you. The next question is about thinking about countries in development. I think this refers to that how could a traditional metrology laboratory in these conditions, like in development countries, with a low level of digitalization can face this scenario? It's like competing against time, right? It's a running situation.
It's a question. It's a very good question. A question that I hear a lot, and I would say you should definitely look out for partners in the development. And I think with the work group M4DT and SIM, you have an excellent basis for that. So contribute there, join the meetings, try to bring in your methodology expertise and make sure that you can benefit from their development. So sharing information, but also sharing results and outcomes of these agile projects mentioned earlier could help.
Thank you. Our next question is how to ensure interoperability at the international level. Will there be some standard code or algorithms? I think it refers to yes, we need to trust the smart methods of analysis of the smart devices. We need like a test base or something like that. I don't know, but I don't know if you can share some information. But you know about the standards code, or there's some plans about this kind of tests?
Well, interoperability is a very broad topic, and when it comes to something like a digital certificate, then interoperability may mean that you have similar interfaces, so that when one side is requesting information or requiring information from that certificate, then irrespective of how the information is structured or how the information is encoded in that certificate, the interface to get access to that information is always the same. This needs to be standardized. So interoperability via standardized interfaces could be a solution. I think for algorithms, that's from my personal opinion, it's unrealistic to have harmonization of algorithms, because it's changing too quickly to provide standards for them. What we need standardization for is for basic rules for quality assurance of such algorithms. In particular, when it comes to AI algorithms, we need to have standardization on how to make sure that the training data was selected well enough, to make sure that you don't have any unwanted biases, that you do some sanity checks for the results and checks against malicious attacks against the algorithms and such.
Thank you. Our next question is about they refer to a document called WellMec. I know that you are aware of that. And they ask if it will be updated along with the development of digital transformation.
Yes, so Euromed and WellMec are working very closely together, of course. And in fact, in the Euromed work group M4D, at least 3 members, 2 or 3 members at least, are also members of WellMec working groups working on the digital transformation documents there. The same holds true for the OIML level. So we have an interconnection of the developments based on these persons, and we also have that on the management level between Euromed and WellMec. And just right now we are working on ways to make use of that collaboration in a effective way in the next couple of months.
Thank you. I have a question. Anyone want to write some other question, please? Maybe a year ago, there was some news about a new version of the BIM, the BIM, the Vocabulary International Metrology. And now, after the CIPM workshop and some PTB workshops, I think that we should not. I think we should move further than the BIM version 3, but move on to ontologies. I think it's a requisite for the smart handle of smart information, smart devices. So, do you know is there any? I mean, I comment that on the CIPM and the PTB workshops, but it seems that there's no interest, or they do not consider to work as a standard. For example, an ontology on metrology. We don't have one. Do you have any news on that?
Yeah, we don't have an ontology for metrology yet. What we have is what we have developed at PTB is a transformation of the Vim version 3 into a thesaurus, which is already the first step towards what you may call an ontology. But then the next step, the question is what is already out there. And when you take a look into the ecosystem of ontologies, you see that there's a whole range of ontologies out there. So what we've done as a next step is to identify ways to combine the existing ontologies. Like, for instance, we've developed an ontology for a heterogeneous sensor network by using other ontologies out there to describe elements of that and to combine these into an ontology that was then extended using the DSI data model to a metrology ontology for the sensor network. So that means we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We have to work in a clever way with what is out there already.
Okay, thank you very much. We have time for one last question, please. Okay, we are then moving on. Thank you very much, Sasha, for your time, for your sharing your experience, your knowledge. A very interesting talk. I will do just, I want to thank all of you for your time, for your participation. We're going to do a couple of things. I want to do some announcements, but before the announcements, I want to let you know that we will share with you through the chat a link for inviting you to answer a very short survey so we can get feedback from you about these talks, about this event, and about the organization, everything that you can evaluate. It's very short, it's about 7 or 10 questions, not more than that. Please, who's going to share this form or the link? Francisco, do you have it, or Ruben? I don't know who's going to share the link. The next thing that I want to, yes.
For the evaluation?
Yes, for the evaluation of the event of today event.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have shared.
So here you have the link. Please go and answer it. And while you do that, or maybe later, we will appreciate that very much. I will ask you to open your webcam, so we can take a picture of the whole participants, the whole group. I don't know how to get in that area. Can you help me, should I put me in first plane? Is that the right thing to do? No. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now let me go to the announcements. First, I want to thank you for your participation, for your time. Our next M4DT day will be about agile projects, and it will be conducted on the 24th of June, so the last Thursday of the month. We invite you to register, to save the date. We don't have the link yet, but we want to let you know so you can save the date. And the other announcement is that there is still time for there will be a workshop at PTV, that is the virtual metrology event. This will be the 21st and 22nd of September. So we invite you to register to assist to that workshop, and I will share the link. You can search for it at the internet, but I will share with you the link so you can go and register and participate in that event also. Well, that's it. That's the two announcements that I wanted that I have to do to share with you. Thank you very much. We're almost running out of time. 3 minutes earlier. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for your participation. I hope you enjoy. I hope you learned something new. Thank you, Claudia, for your support. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, James. Thank you, all the speakers, Luis and Diego, and of course, Sasha. Have a great day. Thank you very much, Diane. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for the invitation and for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Armando.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Have a nice day. Thank you very much, Ruben. Esteban.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Dayan, good to see you. How long? How is your family? How are you doing with this pandemic situation?
I'm trying to unmute my mic.
Well, I hope you join us on the next meeting and on the working groups, the task forces. Thank you, Dayan. Have a good day.